Woo!
It's Thursday. Woo! I was
Wow, Thursday.
right next to the microphone.
What is it? Maybe it just screams into the microphone. Just a bit excited.
Very
Why are you
excited.
excited today, Vivian?
Because it's Thursday.
What does that mean?
Rose.
Rose,
Woo! Rosé,
absolutely champion.
rosé. Beautiful. With
Please,
master.
just be well behaved, would you please, Ross?
No.
Rosé. Now, we've done quite a few rosé tastings before, because they're some of our absolute favourites. But I'm pretty surprised because as much rosé as I've tasted, we're actually going to be popping some rosé that I've never had before, which is exciting. Really?
Which one have you had?
I haven't had this Stefani. So, yeah. Now, in terms of rosé,
Yeah.
Yeah.
red and white blends aside, French versus Italian. What's the difference there?
Probably the grape varieties. Sometimes the making. Yeah. I mean, most of the French ones are, what do you call it, when they bleed it off? The
Saignée.
Saignée method.
So if you don't know
It's
what...
usually a byproduct of the red wine making process, whereby in the early stages of fermentation they bleed off some of the juice from the, say, their Pinot Noir or whatever, just to bring up the skin contact with the fluids so they get more colour extraction into the wine. So it's really, yeah, they're making red wine, but because the skins haven't enough colour, they have to tone down the amount of juice. So they drain some off.
So to concentrate the flavours of the wine, they take out a certain amount of...
And concentrate the colours.
Yeah, but they take out a certain amount of the wine before it gets fully coloured for the skins.
Yep.
And that creates our lovely rosé. And
The other way,
Saignée?
the other real way of making it is just minimal skin contact. So they bring it in and they, from harvest, and they get the juice off the skins as quickly as possible. So, you know, something like that's probably had been on skins for about 4 hours.
Yep.
When it's harvested, come into the shed, sat there, and that's probably how much colour it gets in that time.
It's a very light rosé, this one actually. Very light blush colour.
It's particularly hard to get it much lighter than that in Australia because you've always got a certain amount of brightness involved.
Yeah, and the skin colour, the amount of colour you get from your skin is often based on how much warmth and sunlight the grape gets once it's picked as well. Which is why, as Ross says, you can't always get it lighter than that in Australia because we have a warmer climate.
But having said that, you know, that's probably machine harvest at say 4 AM and probably gets into the shed about 8 AM and they start pressing it at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, we saw one of those, didn't we, when we were at...
Yeah. Yeah, we made, Vivian and I were at Chateau Tanunda when
Is it-
Stuart Bourne was there, and we made their first Grenache Rosé. And that's exactly what happened. They picked the grapes at 4 o'clock in the morning, they put them in a cool room and then brought them out to press at 8 o'clock in the morning. And just sitting as bunches for that 4 or 5 hours, they got this kind of colour.
It's really interesting because
Yeah.
I was doing some research about some of the way in which rosé is made, and as you say, the skin contact that it gets. And it's quite interesting because some of it ties back to Champagne, in which they make a white wine from Pinot Noir. And so there was some rumours about rosé coming from when they accidentally left the skin contact a little bit longer than they were
The
anticipating.
mistakes.
And instead of bottling it into champagne, they just make rosé. But that is just a little rumour.
Oh.
Okay.
So what are we
But I
starting
like it.
with?
It's
What are we
fun.
starting with, boys and girls?
The Yolamba.
Yolamba
Liz
Y series.
And a Janine. That was in Kent as well.
It's a 2019 from South Australia. What are we getting on the nose? There's a subtle
Peach? Am I getting peach?
peach and
Something.
rosiness almost.
Mm.
Almost pink grapefruit. It's quite. It's,
Maybe a little bit of melon. Maybe.
Yeah,
I'm getting the melon and grapefruit kind of thing.
it's really there's something really bright and zesty about it. the smell of this, which is quite
And this is a
refreshing.
Sangiovese rosé.
Yeah. So if you don't know much about Sangiovese, it tends to be a medium-bodied red wine, really juicy. So I understand
So
why
you
they might use
presume
that.
a juicy rosé?
Well, because often with a rosé, because it's getting less skin contact, you need something that the skins are going to provide a lot of flavour to start
Okay.
with.
Yeah.
So, I guess, you know, if you use a really light red, you'll have a really, really dry or really like crisp, clean, light rosé. But I guess something that's Sangiovese gives it a little bit more flavour, and that smells delicious. I'm going to dive into the palate.
Janine thinks this one is quite fragrant, I agree.
And why do we start with
Hints
the
of
Y?
rose petals.
Why do we start with the Y series, boys and girls?
Because it's a $15 one.
Also one of our best sellers as well, you know.
And you can pretty much, you should be able to get it just about anywhere.
And the Y series, I think, are all vegan.
Indeed
Oh,
they
yes, they're
are.
vegan
Yeah.
friendly. Yes, they're all vegan friendly.
Well, they're not just friendly to vegans; they're vegan.
See, every time that's said, I'm just like, I'm waiting for it. Somebody's going to say, ah, they like vegans.
This is delicious.
Lots of good vegans went into the making of this wine.
Anyway,
Well, that's why I say it's vegan friendly. If you say it's vegan one, it was made from vegans, wouldn't it?
No.
what are we getting on the palate? We've had a long week here at the Wig Cellar.
Oh, well, really.
Well, Luke has had a long week yesterday.
I know, I'm very
Recovering.
proud of myself. I managed to recover my hangover just in time to drink some rosé.
Just.
It's a very,
It was
very...
hit and miss for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The grapefruit comes through on the palate, which is interesting.
It does. And that is interesting, actually, because you can't smell grapefruit.
I can smell grapefruit.
Can you?
Yeah. What do you think, Ross?
I get a bit of peaches and cream about it too.
Peaches and cream?
Interesting.
I don't get cream. I get the peaches.
I get the peaches, I don't
Peaches.
get the cream.
No.
I agree with Vivian on that.
Where would you want to drink this?
The Wig Cellar on a Thursday.
Constructive, Ross. Very constructive.
I know. That's what I'm doing. Drinking of the Wig Cellar on a Thursday.
Tasting of the Wig Cellar.
You are a big fan of rosé, aren't you?
Well, this
shows.
kind of weather it is. Yeah,
It shows.
Yeah. I like this kind of weather. This kind of weather is really good for rosé.
And do you have a particular grape that you lean towards, that you prefer when it comes to a rosé?
Not Shiraz or Cabernet. I think Pinot, Sangiovese, even Grenache. All
Interesting. I don't mind a Cabernet rosé.
Why? Well, I guess you like Cabernet.
I like Cabernet.
Okay.
Also, I think there comes a time where you drink enough Australian rosé that gets made with the same grape variety, and the Cabernet,
Okay.
because Cabernet is such a characterful grape variety,
Mm-hmm.
it's refreshing to have a Cabernet rosé every now and again.
Okay.
But then again, I do
Yeah,
also like a
it's
Grenache rosé.
Are they mainly just... Are they mainly making rosé out of what they have a lot of? Or are they deliberately choosing a grape variety to make rosé out of?
Well, I think over the last 5 years we've seen trends of it. I mean, what came out of rosé territory was it used to be quite a bit darker, slightly sweeter, but
Yep.
stronger. You know, so you're getting a lot of Shiraz Cab, Shiraz Merlot, that kind of blends of things, but predominantly Shiraz. And then the first big thing to change that was you sort of places like King Valley with Pizzini and that making
More European style.
more European styles, and then you saw a lot of Pinot rosés, and that was followed up by the next trendy thing was Sangiovese rosés.
Interesting.
But one of the traditional ones in Australia has always been Grenache. The only trouble with Grenache is that sometimes it's picked a bit sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you didn't actually say where you want to be drinking this apart from the Wig Cellar. So where?
On the veranda on a warm evening, while waiting for the barbecue to warm up enough to cook something yummy.
I think this is a lovely, like, before dinner. Just as soon as you get home and you're about to start, you're doing the cooking, you know, it's like a quick,
You know,
let's get into barbecue mode.
Yeah, okay.
You get home, you have a glass of rosé, you cook your dinner.
Yeah, aperitivo.
Yeah.
Aperitivo.
Lovely.
Well,
Janine definitely said more zest on the palate. Liz reckons a picnic.
zesty.
Picnic?
Picnic? I reckon that's a bit bad.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
picnic.
good picnic rosé.
Do you ever drink rosé whilst you're eating food?
I do if it's
Yeah.
a nice. I tend to like a really light dry rosé before food,
Mm-hmm.
and I like to have a rich rosé with food, with the exception being seafood. If it's seafood, I like light and crisp.
I'd be happy with this with barbecued chicken, smoked salmon.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's quite up to smoked salmon, to be honest.
That one. No,
No.
but that's what I use it.
But any sort of rosé.
Or
Yeah.
my secret motto, which is pink drinks with pink food. So smoked salmon, prawns, pickled octopus.
All the things you had for your
Yeah,
fifth
yeah.
birthday.
Salmon's pretty good. Pink food with pink food.
This is a completely different colour.
Janine has asked, what makes for a dry, tangy, and not sweet rosé?
Dry grounds, that Luke?
Yes. So a lot of the time, it's really interesting. Dry rosé is a combination of multiple different steps. So first of all, when the grape is picked, a lot of the time, if you want it really dry, you won't let the grape over ripen. You'll pick it just as it's ripening, and when you do that, it'll retain some of its acidity. That makes a really good crisp rosé. And to make it nice and dry, you make sure that it's done quickly, fast, efficiently, and
Which goes with the
minimal skin
French
contact.
Provençal style because they don't actually get they're struggling with the grapes ripe enough, so they're not picking it early, but they're just picking it at a
Low sugar content.
sugar content because they can't get it any riper.
Yeah, and that crispness that you sometimes see in some of those rosés is from the fact that the fruit has retained some of its acidity.
But there aren't many sweet rosés left.
There are a few out there. They've moved styles though. I think back in the day,
Yeah,
obviously,
the dry crisp Provençal style is the one that everyone's going
Yeah.
at the moment.
yeah,
But really, the Italians and the Spanish tend to have these slightly sweeter rosés mainly because they get the grapes riper. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
a warmer climate.
but
They're struggling to get them not so ripe.
particularly with Australian rosés, some of the sweeter ones have moved styles. They used to be really, really, really sweet, and they were very dark.
We remember.
And the Australian sweet style have now moved on to, they now focus on fragrance. So trying to get as much complexity in the nose of the rosé
Rather than the palate.
rather than just in the palate. And a couple of those slightly sweeter rosés have won 95 Halliday points. So, slightly sweeter rosés are still out there, but they're not what they used to be, and they're a lot better quality now, that's for sure.
Good thing too,
Yeah.
for those of us who drank them before.
Marcy Ross.
We've just moved on to the Marcy.
Do you want to talk about Marcy?
No, this is from
Italy. Interesting producer. What are they, just outside Verona?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In Prosecco country, pretty much. But they've probably rated as one of the top 50 wineries in the world. Particularly known for their red wines.
And the one thing that they are very well known for is
Amarone.
Amarone. And a lot of
They make
their,
a good Valpolicella, don't they, too?
Yeah.
a lot of their red wines that they really focus on, really concentrating the flavour of the grape. So as we were talking of Saunier method, which is the bleeding of the grape to concentrate a red wine, and you use the blood off juice to make rosé. That's what happens at Marcy.
This is quite a different colour, though. Isn't it?
This rosé is part of their production to create really flavourful red wines. And in doing so, they also make a beautifully flavourful rosé. So it's a really good celebration of the grape and really good winemaking. And just beautiful grape country. It's just that particular area is really good for really perfectly ripe grape.
What does this smell of? I'm having trouble with this.
It's
See, I get strawberries and cream from that.
Well,
Fresh strawberries.
the Marcy tends to be, given their appellation, it tends to be a blend of Corvina, Rondinella, and Molinara. So three different obscure red grape varieties. And I suspect, given that's what they
Corvina's
use in
not that
most
obscure.
of it is in different balances, it will be a combination of those three grape varieties.
They don't often tell you though.
It doesn't say.
The Italians,
but
the
of their
Italians often don't
appellation-
tell you what's in it.
Of their appellation, that's what they usually use, with them, about 60% being Corvina,
Yeah.
30% Rondinella, and the last 10% is Molinara and whatever else they've got growing in the vineyard at that day.
I do know for a fact that some of the fields at Marcy are not completely, fully separated. They're quite, as we like to say, field blend. What are we getting on the nose of this? This is really interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it?
It's a floral, but it's a quite a gutsy floral. Strawberries, rose,
Or even raspberries.
raspberries a good bet. I
It's
want
got
to
the
say
sweetness to it.
I want to say mulberry, but that might be a bit off.
No, I think mulberry's either really sweet or a bit sour. Doesn't have that going.
This is really complex.
It's really hard to. That's what I said. It's really hard to pick.
Well, somebody has
Somebody picked it.
There's a
I
touch
know.
of
Thank you, Ross.
almost elderflower.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay. Yeah. That's it.
Maybe like a honeysuckle. I want to say gardenia, but I don't think that's right.
No.
Fruit tingles.
Now you're just throwing in all the things that people say when.
I don't know what else
But I
to
am
say.
getting some sort of lolly smell to it, but I think it smells like those strawberry and cream lollies. But I was like, mustics, no.
Orange peel.
Yeah.
This is the thing. I mean, we often say fruit tingles, and when we
Fruit
when
tingles are
something-
all sorts of flavours.
That's true.
no, they're all the same flavour. They're different colours. They're
Different
all
colours
the
just
same
to
flavour.
fool you.
Um,
I don't know.
when people say things like fruit tingles, it's really interesting to actually talk about what flavour they're smelling, because people don't often say that the wine smell will taste like orange because they associate that with like rich, creamy, like fresh orange juice. Whereas when they say fruit tingles, it's often orange oil, that orange essence,
Like
that
zesty,
peel, that
yeah.
zestiness. And yeah, I'm definitely getting orange peel from it.
I'm gonna dive in.
Yeah, me too. Oh, the texture of this. It's
Beautiful
still dry,
texture. Great mouthfeel.
but it's rare to find a really dry rosé that's got a round mouthfeel from front to back palate.
That could handle more robust flavours, I reckon.
Yeah.
You know,
I'd
that's-
say over the last. I first tried this one quite a while ago, and over the last 5 years, Marcy have toned it down a bit because they're into big red wines. So these rosés
They used to be quite big.
quite big and fruity. And this is actually a lot leaner than.
Well, I think it just wasn't fashionable either.
Yeah. I mean, it's tricky. I mean, particularly the rosé they were making was to be a red wine drinker's rosé. And it's a bit of a passion project for them, I'm sure.
But also, if
I
this got
still
so,
love the smell and the fruit.
it's got so much flavour, you could have that really, really cold and you'd still taste it.
Yeah.
I reckon.
And that's, I think,
What's great about rosé?
what's great about more flavourful rosés.
Barbecue
Barbecue?
I'm
Put it again.
I'm going pork.
pork. It says it in. Ooh.
I'm getting
Chicken.
apricot and nectarine.
Yeah.
Like
I need more
juicy
zest,
nectarine.
like orange peel on the palate, I think.
Orange peel? Yeah. Yeah.
No,
That's
it wasn't enough.
really delicious.
It's nice, isn't it?
Mm.
nice.
It's
It's
certainly
different,
not
it's
lean.
unusual.
It's certainly not a Provençal.
No.
There's no eau de Provence here. No, this is.
Really good Italian. Oh, yum. The more I'm sipping it, there's almost like a woodiness about it. on the residual on the palate left over,
Okay.
which I think is interesting.
I'm getting aromas that sort of remind me almost of Cab Franc at some point.
Yeah. Like velvety plum.
Yeah.
I wonder if
I actually think it smells quite different once you've tasted it. The whole palate
Yeah.
is quite sort of complex.
I'm getting a bit more rosiness now.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's smelling it. Yeah, that's amazing.
And I think this is one of those wines that A is bold enough with enough flavour and fragrance that you could drink it, as Vivian says, really, really cold. But it's also one of those flavourful Italian style rosés that tastes completely different when it's cold than when it's warm.
Yeah, I don't know that I would like this. Oh, this might go okay warm. I'm not sure.
I'm
Now,
not
this
saying
is-
like fully warm, but you'll probably notice like if you
Yeah.
pull the bottle out of the fridge and you have it on the
Yeah.
table.
Yeah.
Now, this is a 2015. This feels to me like this has got enough body to keep going for a bit. Like it could be a 7-year-old rosé, which is not something you would normally
Yeah, I'd
do
say
or see. Would you think?
maximum 10 years, absolutely, that would be the
Yeah, but it's got
But
more. It's not
very
going to drop
few
dead
people-
tomorrow.
Yeah,
It's-
but a lot of things like the Y series, you'd say 2 to 3 max.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the other
This
thing.
doesn't have the back.
This has got a lot more structure to it, a lot more body to it.
For sure. It goes to show that they really do focus on
They took it seriously. It wasn't
Yeah.
just a byproduct.
no. And a lot of, particularly in a lot of the Marcy brand, because they've been around for a very long time and have been sort of at the top of their game for quite a long time, they're expected to make wines that last. So to see them do that to a rosé is really interesting, I think, because not many people other.
Now you see, this could be an autumn wine for me.
Autumnal.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not just a
Hot drinking weather.
summer wine.
Someone what?
No.
I think this goes really
Autumnal. Or a picnic. Bit too serious for a picnic wine, I thought.
No, it's not a picnic wine for me. This is a sitting down with something, as I say, I could
prosciutto
do.
and pasta, I think.
Yeah, something with a bit of pork in it, something
Mm.
with a bit of
That
body
makes-
to it.
Carbonara, mate.
That makes me want to
No.
sit down
No.
and eat prosciutto and salamis. You know, like juicy,
Or it
juicy
would-
fragrant wine with
Like with salt,
salty.
yeah.
You know,
But at the
like
vegetarian end, it would handle eggplant. It would
Artichokes.
handle sort of quite.
I
Oh.
think Liz was eating some spanakopita.
ooh, yum, 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 yum.
It's
Beautiful.
very nice. I like it.
Fantastic. Well, shall we move on
Indeed, we shall.
to Stefani?
And this is a new acquisition for us. We have recently taken this on as part of our
We've had Stefani wines for a while.
rosé listing, and we've stocked a lot of Stefani and sold and drunk a large quantity of Stefani, but we have not previously stocked their rosé. And a friend of ours who is a very big fan of the Stefani wines asked if we had the rosé, and we thought, you know what,
Let's get
Yeah.
it.
let's get it. And we've not been disappointed.
I've never
At
been
all.
disappointed in a Stefani wine, to be honest.
Now, whereabouts are these guys? And what's their story?
Italian family,
An Italian family.
Yarra Valley, and some Heathcote vineyards.
Okay.
They make a cracking.
Australian Italian winemaker with lots of Australian experience, but the brief they gave us was to make it more in a French style than an Italian style. All their wines, in fact.
Okay.
So it's an interesting combination of
They make a cracking Pinot Blanc, don't they?
yeah.
Well, which is interesting
Yep.
because with that is if you're going to the straight Italian path, it would be the Pinot Bianco.
Yes.
So it's named Pinot Blanc and it's meant to be made as a Pinot Blanc, so in a French style.
Which is really interesting. Now, speaking of grape variety, this is actually a Merlot. So,
Yay,
as I was
team.
saying, with things like Grenache and Sangiovese, things that make a really good, dry, flavourful rosé is often a medium-bodied, juicy grape. So Merlot is a really good example of that. It's got good texture, it's medium-bodied, it's juicy.
Yeah.
really interesting.
I get apricots.
Apricots.
Ooh.
Yeah,
It, like,
absolutely.
I've got to say,
Apricots and mint.
a lot of the time we talk about what it smells like, but I've got to say how it smells like. 'Cause this smells is like really fragrant, like a lot of.
Yeah, it's got a lot going on. This is much
Like,
much more in
it's-
your
I-
palate than the
I smelled
Massey.
it as soon as I poured it. It's
Mm.
like
Mm.
really, really, really gutsy on the nose, which I enjoy.
Now, colour wise, it's actually about the same as the Massey, yes?
Yeah, it's a little bit more on the orangey sort of side of things.
Do you think? I think it's a bit pinker. Oh.
I
Um,
think bronze.
Yeah, it's
Pink,
beautiful.
pink gold, I would call it.
A rose gold.
Bronze. Ooh.
Rose gold.
Rose
Oh.
gold. Nice work.
All right. Yeah, rose gold.
You win.
And what vintage is this actually?
2017.
2017.
19.
19.
Sorry, I can't read the number from here. It's a long way away.
No.
I'm getting a bit of yeah, rose petals. Apricots, did you say?
Yeah.
I said apricots. Apricots and a bit of mint.
I said apricots, but you said apricots
Mint.
and mint.
That's really
And
interesting.
you get a bit of mint just at the edge of the.
Yeah, it's almost yeah, I really.
Is it mint or something else, some other savoury? Like,
There's almost an appley note to it.
Lemon balm kind of thing, or an apple mint, maybe. Maybe that's what it
Apple
is.
mint, Not
Don't know.
terribly
I don't
familiar.
have basil out of my head. I don't think it's basil, but
No,
for some
I think it's
reason
basil either.
Now that you've said it,
no,
I
but it's
can-
just, I would say slight herbal.
There's something green there.
yeah, there is a herbal note to this, which is interesting. Particularly from a Merlot, I wouldn't expect too much herbaceousness. There you go. This is opening up to the more. Gets a
Open
little
up
bit of
your
air.
sausage, open up.
There's like a lemon peely sort of smell in there,
Oh, maybe that's what I'm getting instead of the mint. I don't know.
like Maya lemon, I think. Like lemon
Bit of vanilla.
curd.
Did anybody get a
I'm
bit
going
of
to die.
vanilla?
Yeah, vanilla. It's interesting. I was doing some research, and these guys are saying that there was like a toffee-ish sort of like
Oh, yeah.
sugar sort of note.
On the palate there is.
Now that has a completely different mouthfeel, but it has a really punchy finish.
I like the mouthfeel.
Whoa!
Yeah, no, don't know that I don't like it, but it's quite different from the Massey in terms of its texture.
Everyone here has had some of this except me, I think.
I haven't.
Oh, Eva hasn't
This is a
tasted this.
bit, a bit drier than the Massey.
Yeah.
Quite a dry, long, dry finish.
On the front palate, it sort of like hits you with this lemon peel, rose, and
Mm.
toffee, and then on the back, it's like hits you with that Merlot, like
Yeah,
that plummy, woody, juicy,
it's nice. It's beautiful wine.
velvety on the back palate, like it, but it's got a bit of tannin in there, which is quite interesting. It's
Mm.
very rare to see that much tannin come into a rosé and still be balanced.
I think that if you were having a steak on a hot night, you could have this with steak. It's got quite a lot going on.
Ooh.
This is definitely a food wine.
Yes.
Yeah,
It
much
needs
like
something to go with the acid.
This is not the aperitivo kind of arrangement. No.
it's- I think this is like
Yeah, I agree.
sit down and have a big meal with a big, lovely dry rosé.
Yeah, Janine's saying bold, and this is delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. I just also love the design of the Stefani stuff, and they're great people, aren't they? We've done a couple of tastings with them, and they're just
No, it's really nice.
really nice, and they're really
Gen-
interested
genuine and into it.
interested in what you think and how people engage with it, and yeah, it's great.
I'm imagining this with sort of like a burnt butter and sage pasta.
Oh yeah, okay.
Maybe tortellini would be nice. It's making me want to crack out the pasta machine.
Woohoo.
That's a good bet.
So yeah, drinking with food. You
Yeah.
think, Vivian?
Yes.
Summer steak night?
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Definitely needs, to my way of thinking, that definitely needs food, yes.
Now that's interesting. You say needs food. Would you drink this
By
when you're
itself.
not eating?
I think it's better. I think it would be great enhanced with food. I think you'd get more out of the
I
palate.
have, but really it's nice sort of up to a glass. I think after that it gets a bit much. I think it needs something to complement the acid there.
Interesting.
A little, something. I think with a little bit of fat. Would that be sort of passed with your butter and?
Ken
whatever?
says perfect with bacon and scrambled eggs.
Mm.
Breakfast.
And Liz says, again, with spinach and feta.
Yeah,
I
I think
actually-
cheese would work.
Eggs.
Yeah, see, I think this
get
would-
the eggs.
This would go with carbonara compared to the other one, which wouldn't.
Ooh, carbonara.
Yeah.
Because it's a
Bacon with
bit
eggs.
drier than the Massey. I think the Massey's just too round
It
to go
needs
with
something
eggs.
to go with the acid.
Or
to,
even
just
like
to complement that
A
acid.
Caesar salad with a poached egg on top would be really nice.
You're really into this egg.
And now that I've thought about eggs,
He's probably hungry because he hasn't eaten anything except chips all day.
Liz says breakfast wine.
Liz,
A woman after our own
a
heart.
woman, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. No, I don't think this is breakfast wine.
No, I
think
don't
the
think so either.
Yolanda Y series is breakfast wine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's crisp, it's dry, it's refreshing.
I actually only like bubbles in my breakfast wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am a,
A traditionalist in that respect.
if I wanted pink at breakfast, I would have DiGiorgio Lucindale.
Anyway,
Sorry.
we digress.
No, we don't. We always digress.
That's where we start.
So talking about rosé, these are quite different. These are completely different to some of the rosés that we've tasted before, which is quite interesting.
Exactly.
Well, none of them are. Well, the second two are certainly not. In fact, I don't think even the Y series is really that Provençal style. It's not like La Vie Ferme or Onachera.
No, which is more of Italian style. But I think it's interesting. We've tasted a lot of that very French style, crisp lemon and apple.
Yeah, these are different.
Whereas while they're still all on the spectrum of dry rosés, these are really
Well, these have
Different
the
products.
Provençal other style. The Provençal style is just crisp, acidic, and it's about it stops.
Yeah.
You don't keep going. No persistence. These have persistence.
these are really interesting wines.
Well,
Do we have a favourite?
Oh,
I'm with the Massey.
I-
Today I'm with the Massey.
I think I would have either the Massey or the Stefani, depending on what I was doing.
I think I'm verging on even Stevens
Really?
across the board.
Crikey.
Well, 'cause-
Wow.
Stephen.
well,
Even.
I really like that Stefani, but I don't know that I'd want to drink it all the time
No.
No.
because it's quite a gutsy wine, and you've got to be in the mood for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas something like the Y series, I could quite happily drink that
Yeah.
quite often.
That's
you
a
know.
quaffer.
And the other good thing about that is I don't know that I'd get sick of it because it's got enough flavour to keep me interested, but it's not got so much going on that I would
You think I've had enough of that now?
get annoyed with it, you know?
Yeah.
Which, for the price point, absolutely perfect. So, like, do I think the quality of this wine is up with the price points of these? No. But for what it is, it's
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah,
we've
that's
said,
like
we've,
a- that's a
and I think we've said that about
10 out of
almost
10.
all of the Y series wines.
Yeah.
They are really well-made versions of the variety
yeah.
at the price.
And that's the other thing is that when we talk
Consistent
about
as
the
well.
part of the reason
Yeah.
we do these tastings with different price points is it goes to show that, you know, sometimes making a wine can be really expensive and that makes the wine itself cost more. Doesn't always make it better, you know.
Quite right.
And Lord knows, I'm pretty sure that we've all drunk some cheap wine on a budget that was not good. So it's good to show that, particularly with something like Y series, which is across the board,
Find
really
it
good
anywhere.
consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find it anywhere.
Yeah.
Great wine for the price.
Yeah.
The Marcy's good too.
I think
mean,
it's the best series at that price point, I have to say.
I've found very little that is as consistent
Yeah.
as the Yolanda Y series.
Well, trouble with those labels, you always tend to get one or two standout wines. You know, there'll be 6 or 7 in the label series, and one of them will be a standout, whether it be the Shiraz or the Chardonnay, but you know, and then all.
But
of
the
this
Y
like
series are
cocktail.
as Eva said, are really consistent, aren't they?
Well, yeah, and I mean, I've just as Ross says, some of those larger brands at this sort of price point have their standout wines, and that's what's really interesting is it's often based on the region. So their best wine will be the wine that's most heavily planted in that region, you know. So
Well, Yalumba have the coverage to have stuff
if
going
the
everywhere.
brand comes from
Yeah.
Barossa, you know that their Shiraz, they usually focus on their Shiraz because they don't want to create a large brand from Barossa and have a bad Shiraz. That doesn't work for them.
Yeah.
So it's really good to see something like Yalumba do.
I think they're all
So
really interesting rosés, and goes to show that
The
people
Marcy-
who dismiss rosé as just sort of, you know,
Frivolous.
girl pub drink, it's just not on.
Well, it's really interesting. I mean, I know a lot of guys who drink white wine, and yeah, don't drink a lot of rosé, but it's got a lot of.
Do you think
flavour.
it's because it's pink?
I think it's just a lot of the stigmas and stuff that
Okay.
with
I
where
never
rosé.
drink rosé. I used to. I think I had maybe a bad couple of rosés and it just put me off it. I steered clear of it
Yeah,
completely.
and I think a lot of the stigma in
Well, I
previous
think-
selling sales.
I think there's another thing to be said about that. Like rosé, particularly in this country, is actually the quality and the winemaking techniques have improved dramatically over the last 5 years. You know, like if you go right back, like the 60s and 70s kind of rosés, where they just got some white wine they didn't know what to do with.
Oh,
some red
Mathieu's.
wine they didn't
Oh.
know what to do, and just mixed it
Oh.
together until it got the colour that they thought.
God, they were terrible.
And they were just like
Disgusting.
you know,
Disgusting.
we'll sweeten it up, or we'll make it look this, we'll make
Ugh.
it darker, a bit lighter. Be like, no.
I think the other thing that we're still recovering from is not just that winemaking style, but also the marketing behind a lot of rosé. And this
Yeah.
is where Vivian says, "Do you think a lot of guys don't drink it because it's pink?"
Pink.
The colour is not why the guys don't drink it. I think it's because they
Yeah.
were making a pink-coloured wine. They sold it to be
A
pink
pink.
drink for the girls on a Saturday afternoon before going to the races, being silly,
Yeah.
yada yada yada. And that's not
Where rosé is now.
where rosé is anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
I also think for me, I've always said, you know, when I look to cook with wine, I'm not a big fan of cooking with red wine. I find red wine usually
pretty heavy.
overpowers whatever you're cooking. And for me, I cook with either flat sparkling, because, you know, you've put it in the fridge and then you forgot about it, and it's best. It's the best wine you can get for its
I
price.
totally agree.
Um,
There's nothing
but
better
the
to cook
but
with
rosé
than
is
sparkling.
really good to cook with because it's got some residual flavour going on. It's really nice if you've
So
got
yeah, if you don't finish
I
your
think
bottle,
though you can be careful with some of them because it can be a bit acidic.
the rosés.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
if
these
you-
would all be okay,
so
but I've
if you
never
don't
not finished
finish
any
your
of these.
bottle of rosé, maybe use it to cook up some mushrooms or
Yeah.
something nice.
I cook my mushrooms with port, as you know.
Anyway.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Well, I'm liking the most.
I'm actually blown away by both the Stefani and the Marcy.
Nice, beautiful.
Fantastic.
Your-
Well,
hang on, no, your favourite. What do you
oh, I think I like the Spani the most. I think
Interesting.
full body, we're going for it.
think? Cool.
I'm on it.
Champion.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good job.
What are we doing next week, Eva?
Next week we are doing gin.
Floral gin.
Except I made a mistake.
Oh, okay. No, this is a good mistake to make.
What mistake did you make?
So the original lineup was going to include saffron gin.
Right.
And I went, sumac sounds like a
Yeah.
flower.
I mentioned it in passing, and on my day off, Eva picked up the
And I was
sumac
like,
and-
yeah, that was the one that we're talking about. I was wrong.
And now that I think about it, I'm happy with this choice. It's a happy accident, as Bob Ross would say.
Whoopsie.
I think we've got some really interesting gins. And when, for everyone at home, when we talk about floral gins, we won't be talking about sweet,
No.
and we won't be talking about rose.
Well, I'll give you, like, the ink, very green. I have never smelled a gin so green.
So going down the line, we've got the Fossey's White Frontignac. We've got
Which smells
the
amazing.
Ink, Butterfly Pea Gin and the Dobson's Sumac. And if you don't know, Butterfly Pea is naturally that colour.
Yes.
Anyway,
Beautiful. Well,
join
yes.
us
Awesome.
next week at 6 o'clock.
Now, also, we've only got 2 more tastings to go for the year.
For the year.
Is
So-
it 2 more or 1 more?
2 more. No, next the 3rd and the 10th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have got spaces in store for anybody who wants to come and purchase tasting packs and pick them up in store and taste in store.
You can see us in person.
You can book. We'd love to see people before Christmas. That would be so nice.
So we can do that now.
We can do that now, so
Yeah.
that would be very cool. So just when you order your tasting pack, just say, "I would like to taste in store, please," and we can do that.
Or email us, call us, send us a fax, a carrier
No, we
pigeon.
cut
carrier
our
pi-
fax.
Carrier pigeon, we
Oh,
still
the fax
accept
is
carrier
broken.
pigeon.
Yeah.
The carrier pigeon still works, but the fax is broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, bicycle couriers work.
Did you hear a pigeon sold for $2.1 million?
Not our pigeon.
Oh,
Anyway,
a pigeon.
A racing pigeon.
thanks for tuning in. We will see
A
you all
racing pigeon.
next week for our penultimate tasting of the year.
Whoa! Stay safe, guys.